everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing some super fun news. I am joining the Inkon3 Design Team with all these incredible crafters. I'm so excited, and today is also the release of the Big Bold Magnolias, which is a new stamp set full of big gorgeous blooms. Now you might think that these actually look a little bit similar to the flowers that are on the heels on new stamp set, and that is correct. They turned out to be so popular that Florette decided to do a stamp set completely on their own. So with choose or without, up to you. Now I'm going to jump right in here. I have done some no-line watercoloring using the absolutely fantastic Fade Out ink by Inkon3. This has been by far my favorite ink to use for no-line coloring. I was very intimidated by no-line coloring to begin with. It was one of those things where I sort of looked at it and I thought, oh, I would love to be able to do that. But I never really had the right kind of ink, I thought, and I found it very, very intimidating. However, this ink makes it so easy. So if you're wanting to try it, I can highly recommend this ink. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I'm stamping these images on some Canson XL watercolor card. It's quite, it's a little bit textured, but not super textured like the Ranger's watercolor cardstock. And I'm going to stamp these images twice with the ink. It just means that it gives a little bit of a more clear image and lines. However, once you color them over, those lines will disappear. It's like magic. It really is. I love this part. So as you can see, I'm using my mini Misty to make sure that all the images are exactly in the right place for the second time of stamping. And the second layer of ink just gives those lines a little bit more to work with. Now, as I said before, it doesn't matter how many times you stamp this. So if you want really, really dark lines, just keep on stamping until you're happy. They will disappear once you add your colors. And the coloring medium I'm going to use today are these watercolors from Arteza. This is a 36 watercolors half pan set. And I was so excited to use these, and I haven't even swatched these yet. However, look at those colors. Look, aren't they creamy and yummy? There's something so exciting about a brand new case of watercolors. So I have just tried out a few. I think it was called Magenta and the Spring Green, because I have actually already colored a few of the images just to try them out. And they are lovely to work with. So I can highly recommend these watercolors if you're looking to expand your watercolor collection. Now I'm getting all my tools ready, and to start with, I am using one of these refillable watercolor brushes, and I'm just making sure it's clean before I start adding any colors. Because the first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of that color, and I'm going to spread it over my entire flower, or well, almost the entire flower, in a very, very light wash. Now it looks quite dark here, but I'm just adding a little bit, and then I'm spreading that out with extra water. Because we are going to, here we go with the we again. I am going to build up the layers as you go along, because this is the best way to work with watercolors. If you're anything like me and you're impatient and just kind of want to get to the end with the coloring, I get it. I really do. However, it's come with time to understand that watercoloring is, especially with flowers and things that need details, it is best to be patient and just let it dry between layers and come back the next day and just look at it, because it really does look so different when it's dry. So you think, oh yeah, this is going to be really dark and lots of details. But then when you come back the next day, you think, oh, actually, that's not as vivid as I remember it. So work with layers and just keep on adding. Now, I'm going to kick this up a little notch, because although this is going to look like it takes no time whatsoever, I think I must have spent a good 2 hours maybe on these little images. However, even with a time lapse, you will be able to see how by going in over the images time and time again and letting it dry in between, how I'm building up the depth and the details. So we are, I think, just about ready to kind of hop on in there. And I find it so fascinating to see things go in a hyper, or time lapse hyperdrive sort of thing, because when you do it, you think, oh, this is, we're going nowhere fast. But when you watch it back in one of these time lapse videos, you're like, oh yeah, I can actually really see how it's coming to life. And I mean, who's got the time to sit here and watch, me color for 2 hours? Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Want to get to the crafting myself. Right, so as you can see, I've done another layer on one of the flowers, and I'm now moving on to the second one to let the first flower dry. And I'm just going in over these images and just adding a little bit of another layer where I think it's going to be where the shadows and highlights are going to go. So I'm hoping you kind of catch how I'm working with this, because I know when you're looking back at things, you think, oh, I wish people would slow down so I can really see how it's going. But I'm also limited to 15 minutes per video still, so I can do another video where I do something really slow so you can see this. If that's something you want, leave me a comment down below and I will try to do maybe a live coloring or something like that, so you can see just how I go about coloring like this. So here we go, we're back into flower number 1, and we're going even faster now. But as you can see, as I'm going over those lines with the fade out ink, you can see how it's picking up the color, but it's picking the color that I'm adding to it. It's not going like black or gray or anything like that. It's just adding those details without much, it doesn't, like, I am by no means a coloring genius. However, this ink is making me look like I kind of know what I'm doing, So as you can see, like even like with those little, like the veins on the flowers and the things, if you add a little bit more color to that, it just brings them to life. It's incredible. I love this ink. I seriously cannot recommend it enough. And now we're just having a quick little look at the final results here. I think these flowers are probably in the wrong direction. But now the first panel that I stamped, I just stamped them and then I thought, oh yeah, I'll figure it out later. But I really didn't think about how I was going to make this card. I just stamped and colored, and now I'm fussy cutting out all my extra little bits, and I'm kind of playing around to think, oh, how am I going to do this? But yeah, just don't do what I did and just kind of go willy-nilly, because I really had such a hard time figuring out how I was going to use these images. And maybe what I should have done is fussy cut out the bigger ones as well and just kind of started from scratch. But sometimes I'm stubborn and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to make this work. No matter how much it shows or the card is trying to tell me that, no, girl, you have no idea what you're doing. So I'm putting all that aside for the moment, and I'm going to heat emboss my sentiment. And I've used this cute little dogwood flower stamp set. It's got some fun, like, little words so you can make up your own sentiments. And I'm going to heat emboss it in white on black cardstock. And it's going to say, have a fabulous birthday at the end. And apparently I had a bit of a trouble getting my my cardstock in the right place here to begin with. But right, so I'm lining them up using my original size Misty, because I honestly cannot do anything without my Misty these days. Plus, it helps you getting everything straight because it's got the grids on your lid. Now, everything is lined up, so we are going to use the anti-static tool on the paper, and I almost always overuse my anti-static tool because I really don't like the stray little bits and pieces. And so we're popping it back into the Misty, and then we're going to use the Inkon3 watermark and embossing ink. And it's all stamped and ready. And the embossing pattern we're using, the embossing powder I am using is called Arctic White, and this is an ultra fine powder, so it's really good for all those like little words and fine details. And then when we're finished putting the powder on the ink, we're popping the rest of the powder back into the jar. And then with a preheated heat gun, we are going to melt this powder quickly. And then I'm using a banner die cut to cut this out. Now, the banner die cut is actually a lot bigger than the sentiment was. So what I've done is I've run it through my die cutting machine twice, and each time I've trimmed off a little bit of the layers to make sure that it just fits my panel perfectly. And this panel, I actually ended up using a lawn fawn stitch rectangle die cut on as well to just trim it down a little bit and see if maybe I could sort of make the card work that way. But I probably shouldn't have done that either, but anyway, there we are. I'm here now trying to save the card, and as you can see, I'm having a really hard time deciding exactly how things are gonna go. Now, you might wonder, why on earth are you showing this girl? You know, you just, why? Just why? But I really do think it's so important to show all those times when you're, you know, doubting yourself or things go wrong, and just be honest about it, because I've had so many people say to me when I've been honest about how difficult it's been and, you know, the things that have gone wrong, they're like, oh, you know what? It just makes me feel so much better knowing that I'm not the only one who is stressing about this and doubting myself and, you know, getting things wrong. Because, I mean, sometimes you look at all these crafters, you know, and all their cards are incredible and you think, wow, they do no wrong. And you can get a little bit discouraged. However, oh boy, I'm keeping it real in my craft room for sure. I mean, there are so many projects that I scrap even before I even finish coloring them, because I just get to the point where it's like, this is completely unsalvageable. And in fact, the first image that I started coloring for this particular post ended up going straight in the scrap pile, because it was just not going my way. No. But you live and learn, and well, I say that, but hopefully I will learn from that experience, and next time it will be so much easier. Now I'm getting to the final stages of like putting my card together. So I've got my little box of scrap foam tape and foam sheets out, and I really like using the biggest sheets where I can just cut everything to size, so that the entire backside of like a banner or a flower or something is covered, because I just find that it gives such a better structure to a card when it's solid and it doesn't sag or, you know, bend or something. So I like using those kind of sheets to cut everything to size. And as you can see, I'm cutting out little bits and pieces to put on the back of my flowers so that they will be raised up, and just to create a little bit of dimension on the card as well. It just makes such a difference from a completely flat card to something that's got that dimension. It just, yeah, it's like the little extra icing on the cake, I think. Ooh, cake. Now, while I'm finishing off the last little bits and pieces for this card, I just want to say thank you for stopping by today, and don't forget to hop along in the rest of the blog hop. There are prizes to be won, so make sure you leave a comment on each one of the blog hop stops, because there's a $25 gift voucher up for grabs from Inkon3, and that could be your chance to grab yourself that fabulous fade out ink and this fun new stamp set if you're as into flowers as I am. I will link all the products I've used for this card down below, as well as with a link to my blog and Inkon3's blog, where you can find the entire lineup, and also of course links to the shop where you can buy all these fabulous products. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video today, even though there's been a lot of faffing and a lot of doubting myself and, you know, the usual-ish amount of jibber-jabbery. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you do that. If you share this video as well, you would be my favorite person ever. So thank you so much for coming by today and just supporting me in my my crafting journey. Now, as you can see here, I'm just kind of having a last minute of self-doubt, like, oh, should I add this last flower or not? And here I am going, shall I not? I decided in the end not to do it, because I thought, no, let's just leave it as it is, but at least I will have a flower for another project if I decide to do more. So thank you so much again for stopping by today. I really do appreciate every single view, every single thumbs up, and you guys are the best, so thank you.